While Thrawn may be most famous as a Grand Admiral in the Galactic Empire, and secondarily as an officer of the Chiss Expansionary Defense Force, today we're going to talk about a faction he created to enact his vision in the unknown regions, the Empire of the Hand. In Thrawn's earliest chronological appearances within Star Wars, we see the early parts of his career and get an insight into his hopes and fears for the galaxy, but more particularly for the Chiss Ascendancy. His superior tactical skill led to him being adopted by the Myth family, one of the Chiss ruling families, which was a common practice for those within Chiss's oligarchic society who showed some level of merit. As the commander for Picket Force 2 from his flagship Springhawk, he proved time and time again his dedication to preserving the Chiss Ascendancy and the safety of his people. However, his methods for doing so often went against the rules of Chiss military doctrine. The Chiss forbid preemptive strikes, but Thrawn engages in one against the Vagari, for example, a group of nomadic raiders near Chiss space whom Thrawn believes pose a significant threat 27 years before the Battle of Yavin. This element of Outbound Flight, released in 2006, was actually meant by Timothy Zahn as a roundabout way to discuss parts of the Iraq War. Within that book, Thrawn also comes into contact with Kinman Doriana, an associate of Palpatine, and learns about the threat of the Yuuzhan Vong, a species of alien invaders from another galaxy. Palpatine, in his attempt to be, as Zahn puts it, all things to all people, uses this premise as a way to lure Thrawn in. For Palpatine, it's largely an attempt to secure his own power, but for Thrawn, the effort to beat this future threat contextualizes, or recontextualizes in the case of the Thrawn trilogy, most of his actions for the rest of his life. He kept arguing for a more proactive Chiss military, but continued use of and arguments for preemptive strikes did result in his being exiled from the Chiss Ascendancy. While in exile, he was picked up by Imperial forces within about a week of the declaration of the Empire. Captain Vos Park, who would become one of his staunchest allies, had been searching for the smuggler Booster Tarek when Thrawn brought down one of his starfighters. Park brought Thrawn back to the Empire with him, Thrawn having been eager to take up Palpatine on his earlier deal for cooperation, though the story in which this pickup happened, Mist Encounter, predates the publication of Outbound Flight by over a decade, so there's no allusions to this conversation there. While Thrawn did become an Imperial officer, his primary goal was still the protection of the Chiss. As he told Vos Park when Park asked if he would try to convince the Chiss to allow him to rejoin their military, "I do not need their permission to fight on their behalf." Thrawn's meteoric rise in the Empire came as a surprise to most, considering the anti-alien bias held by many within the higher ranks of the Empire. Once he had made the rank of senior captain, he began running Imperial missions in the unknown regions. With Admonitor as his flagship, alongside Captain Park, he led a campaign the same year as the Battle of Yavin, against an alien warlord operating on the edge of the known galaxy called Nuso Esfa. While ostensibly mapping and pacifying the unknown regions for the Empire, Thrawn had already begun setting up the seeds for his own Empire of the Hand by this point. The worlds he pacified became loyal to him rather than Coruscant, and chief among his initial forces were a corps of stormtrooper defectors, the Hand of Judgment, who formed the basis of Thrawn's own new 501st. Thrawn had, in addition to their combat skill, been impressed by their willingness to work with non-humans, which he considered key to his own efforts. According to Vontar, a member of the Trokri species who pledged themselves to Thrawn when Thrawn and Vontar were convincing the Hand of Judgment to join the Empire of the Hand, "The empire that Senior Captain Thrawn is carving into the evil that pervades our worlds is not the empire you chose to leave. His is an empire of justice and dignity for all beings. His empire is one we gladly serve, one we are willing to die for." Thrawn was still staunchly authoritarian, and opposed the Rebel Alliance in support of the Empire, primarily believing the former to be unable to stabilize the galaxy. Thrawn and Task Force Admonitor's unknown region activity continued along with Thrawn's other duties until Palpatine and Thrawn staged Thrawn's exile. Most Imperials believed that Thrawn had been disgraced and sent on a mapping expedition, when in fact Palpatine and Thrawn were continuing the pacification and empire building Thrawn had begun earlier. The Empire was run from a base Thrawn had set up on the planet Neroon, in a giant fortress resembling a hand outstretching towards the sky, which would grow to hold one of the most thorough stores of information the galaxy would know. Even Palpatine didn't understand the extent of what Thrawn was doing. To Palpatine, this was simply an extension of his own empire, but in practice it was an independent entity under Thrawn's command, and really more of a confederation of the local species and constituent members that Thrawn had united. While they were filtered some forces from the Empire slowly, Thrawn would not accept those who did not accept either his own leadership or the policies towards alien species and the denizens of the unknown regions that the Empire of the Hand espoused. The Empire would not be the only benefactor of the Empire of the Hand, though. As he was setting up his operations, he re-established contact with the Chiss Ascendancy. While the government of the Chiss Ascendancy was less than friendly towards the Empire of the Hand, and officially did not recognize them, it was an open secret in Chiss society that Thrawn had essentially established an empire to proactively protect the interests of the Chiss, and many would flock to join him, including his household phalanx, a type of military group within Chiss technically separate from the CEDF, under Chiss commander named Crestan Tarthi, or Stent, who was himself very loyal to Thrawn. Unofficially, several within the command structure of the CEDF and the Chiss Ascendancy also supported him and believed in the utility of what he was doing by uniting and pacifying these areas of the unknown regions, even if under official Chiss policy they couldn't really say so. Ultimately, we end up with a faction that is largely independent, but has some significant links to both the Empire and the Chiss. It's important to note here that despite these links, the Empire of the Hand is not officially part of either the Chiss Ascendancy or the Galactic Empire. The links to the Empire in particular were mostly in their origins. Palpatine would have liked to believe it was an extension of his forces, but to Thrawn that was largely a convenient fiction, based on the point of view expressed by Thrawn and other individuals within the Empire of the Hand in the book Choices of One. Even those from the Empire, like Vos Park, placed their loyalty to Thrawn and their own mission above the Empire. After Palpatine's death, very few within the Empire even knew what Thrawn was doing, and arguably none had the full picture. He was sent some individuals like Soontir Fel by Isan Isard as a way to placate Thrawn and basically keep him from usurping her within the Empire. Soontir Fel, who had actually been captured from the New Republic by Isard, quickly saw the need for what the Hand was doing, abandoning his obligations to the New Republic and those in the known galaxy to serve his new role in the Hand, where he essentially became the commander of their starfighter operations. Thrawn left the Empire of the Hand to return to the Empire sometime around 8 or 9 years after the Battle of Yavin to prepare for the 9 ABY Thrawn campaign. However, even with his taking command of the Empire, the forces of the Hand remained independent. To Thrawn and to Vos Park, who was essentially made the steward of the Hand, their mission in the unknown regions could not be interfered with for the sake of the Empire. Thrawn told Park, Stent, and Fel that should they hear the news of his death as he led the Empire against the New Republic, to await his return for 10 years and continue on their mission. What they did not know is that Thrawn had been growing a clone under the hand of Thrawn and training him with flash learning to essentially be a complete replica of the original Thrawn. If Thrawn did not reset the timer on the cloning vat, it would then be released and take his place. 10 years after Thrawn's reported death, they began scouting the galaxies for signs of Thrawn's return. This led to Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade finding their headquarters and making contact with the Empire of the Hand, the first time the known galaxy had really been able to do that. Park revealed to them that part of why they did not intervene in the fighting between the New Republic and the Empire was that they were not sure at this point which side Thrawn would have supported, further downplaying any potential official ties to the Empire. At this point, the New Republic was the more stable government and provided the best hope of fighting the Yuuzhan Vong and the other threats they were working against in the unknown regions. The Empire of the Hand was essentially willing to work with whomever they could. Unfortunately for and unbeknownst to the Hand leadership during this visit, the pair destroyed the secret Thrawn clone and left Park to head up the Empire of the Hand. As we start to enter the Vong War, there's a lot more to the story of the Empire of the Hand and its relationship with the Chiss Ascendancy especially, but we're going to leave that evolution of the Empire for its own video. If you have any other suggestions for future topics, please leave them in the comments. I'm also thinking of doing a semi-regular Q&A type video series as well, so if you have any questions for something like that, leave them with the hashtag QuestionTime in the comments as well. If you've enjoyed, consider leaving a like or subscribing for more. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time.